Hello and welcome to tutorial number 3 of this video series. This time I'm going to be showing you how to create your very own entry in the St. Mary Digital Archive. So, to give you a hypothetical scenario, let's say a woman named Betty donated a school paper she found in her attic to St. Mary. How would we go about cataloging that within the system? Well, let's start with the first information category that you need to fill out. So we've got the collection category. This is just keeping track of the collection that multiple items might have been received within. In the case of Betty, she's only sent us one school paper, so she's just going to get her own collection category here. Let's just name her category St. Mary School Paper, parentheses, Betty. As you can see, there's these different binders. These binders actually refer to collections of newspaper, school papers that we found within binders when we first started cataloging St. Mary's historical items. But for our purpose, Betty's just given us one school paper. Next, we're going to want to figure out where you're putting this item. So in this case, we are right now going to be keeping all of the school papers in the Catholic School Archives, wherever that is for you now. Most likely it will also be going there. So we're just going to mark that Catholic School Archives and then press the arrow button on our keyboard to move to the next category. Now, each of these items within the St. Mary Archives gets their own unique ID number. Ideally, we will have all of these marked on physical items, but if you have something that is exclusively digital, this will be the only time it gets that number, apart from when you go to use the photos of it. So we're going to go ahead and let's say Betty actually donated this newspaper to us in 2026. So these unique ID numbers serve two purposes. They serve for identifying the item and marking it within the catalog, and also giving us some information on the item itself. So everything we've marked here was cataloged in 2025, so we're in 2026 now, and Betty's given us the paper, and she's actually the first one to give us an item for this specific collection. So what we're going to do is make her the first collection ever received, which means she gets a big 1 in this category next to 2026. As you've seen, I've typed a 001 here. And this is the first item in a succession of items within the collection. She's actually only given us one paper, so that also only needs a 1. Now, you can see that there's all these numbers next to the ones, and that's because there were multiple newspapers within these binders specifically. And so we're with the newspapers, it's slightly different because we have an entire binder that is part of a collection itself, and then the binder itself is also a different collection within that collection. So in Betty's case, we don't need to worry about a binder or anything, so we're just going to go ahead and mark that 001 without any number behind it. But if you were to receive a binder from Betty, you might want to just make that number 1 of binder number 1, especially if there are multiple binders that Betty sends. But in this case, it's just one newspaper, so don't worry about that. Next, you want to write a title for Betty's newspaper, so preferably you would want to mark what it says on top of the newspaper, which volume it is, and what number issue of that newspaper it is. So little details like that will just help anyone who's searching the title feature. As I showed you in a previous video, there's this search feature right here to find that specific issue. Now, as you can see here, I have as you see fit put in the people category, and that's just for any of you to fill in whenever you review some of these new newspaper issues and feel like a name needs to be included. There are hundreds of names sometimes in these papers, and it would take up a ton of time to categorize them all. So all you need to do if you want to add to this is simply double click, it'll highlight it, press backspace, and that category will completely go away. And then you can add whatever you want. But for now, let's say Betty gave us St. Mary Journal volume 11, and it's issue number 2. We're gonna just, for the sake of being speedy here, just add as you see fit into that people category. Now, maybe Betty's newspaper is dated. Usually with a newspaper, you're just going to see the date right at the top, smack dab in the middle with all these papers. So maybe her paper's dated November 12th, 1944. So yeah, there we go. So we've got a date category here. Just add the date to that, and then we'll move on to the next one. And so the description category, I've just copied and pasted these for now for the sake of saving time. But maybe you want to add your own unique description to what is inside of this newspaper. Now we get to the most important part of this. It's the visual tab. So this will get a little bit complicated. I'll try to make this short. The way I add visuals is simply that you add a number. And let's say Betty's only given us the first front page somehow of this newspaper to work with. So I'm only going to give you a number 1 here. So next what we're going to do is we're going to highlight that. And then there's this little button right here. It says insert link. There's also the option to use the keyboard shortcut Control K if you know how to do that. But I'm assuming you don't. And so we're just going to go ahead and click this button. And so it's going to bring up this search tab. Forget any of this is here. That's not important. We're going to go to our Photos tab. Now, make sure when you're adding scans and when you're taking photos that they are added to this Google account and added to Google Photos. In my case, I just took photos with my phone of each of these documents, and they were automatically added to Google Photos through that. But work out with your colleagues or whatever how you would do this if you're using the scanner instead. So let's say this is Betty's paper right here. If I wanted to match this to Betty's paper, I'm just going to go up here into the search bar, and you can see there's this huge link here, and you're just going to click that once, and you're going to copy and paste that. So the keyboard shortcut for that is Control C, and then you would paste it using Control V into here. But let's say you don't use the keyboard shortcut. You also have the option to right click, and then it brings down a drop menu here, and you just hit copy, and then paste with another right click and a drop down menu. And then you're just going to hit apply, and that's going to give you a hyperlink. Now our newspaper received from Betty is fully cataloged. We have a visual representation that people can click on. What's the next step? Well, let's go back to that image that this is now linked to. You're going to want to make sure that when someone is on this image that they know where they're at in the catalog in case they're maybe accessing it through Google Photos or they've started scrolling and they get lost. So I would also encourage you to use this little nifty feature here. It's the info feature, and you're just going to hit this, click on this tab over here. It's add a description, and then you're just going to add this handy number that we've given to it over here. You see that? And once we've done that, 2026.001001, that's all there is to it.